The Last Stand of the Interstellar Empire. Chapter 1. The last hope. The darkness stretched out before them, swallowing everything in its path. The only thing that could be heard was the sound of their breathing as they walked through the barren wasteland. It had been years since the last time anyone had set foot on this desolate planet. But they had to come back. This was their last hope. Their mission was simple: to find the last remaining artifact, a device that could save their dying planet. They had no idea where it was or how to find it, but they had to try. The fate of their world depended on it. The team consisted of 4 members, each with their own strengths and specialties. There was John, the leader, a skilled warrior and strategist. Emily, the tech expert, who could hack into anything and retrieve any information. Mike, the muscle, who could take down anything that stood in their way. And finally, there was Sarah, the medic and the only one who could keep everyone alive. As they walked through the barren wasteland, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The planet was supposed to be uninhabitable, yet there were signs of life everywhere. Strange, mutated creatures wandered through the shadows, their glowing eyes staring at them with an intense hunger. John led the way, with his weapon at the ready. Emily scanned the area for any signs of the artifact, while Mike kept a watchful eye out for any danger. Sarah, the medic, kept close to the group, ready to act at a moment's notice. Suddenly, they heard a noise. It was faint at first, but it grew louder and more intense with each passing moment. Something was coming towards them, something big. They readied their weapons and waited. And then, a massive creature emerged from the darkness. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It stood on 2 legs, towering over them with razor-sharp teeth and claws that could tear through metal. Without hesitation, they attacked. John and Mike charged forward, firing their weapons at the creature, while Emily hacked into its systems, trying to find a weakness. Sarah provided cover, healing any injuries and keeping them alive. The battle raged on for what seemed like hours. Blood was spilled, wounds were inflicted, but they didn't give up. They knew what was at stake. Finally, with one final blow, the creature fell to the ground, dead. The team stood triumphant, but there was no time to rest. They had to keep moving, to find the artifact before it was too late. As they walked away from the creature's lifeless body, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The darkness seemed to be closing in around them, suffocating them with its emptiness. They pushed on, their hope and determination guiding them through the darkness. This was their last hope, and they would do anything to save their world. Chapter 2. The discovery. After hours of trekking through the unforgiving terrain, the team finally arrived at their destination. They had reached the ruins of an ancient city, once thriving with life, but now reduced to crumbling stone and rubble. Emily scanned the area with her tech gear, searching for any signs of the artifact they had come so far to find. The rest of the team stood guard, watching for any signs of danger. Finally, Emily picked up a signal. It was faint, but it was there. The device they were looking for was nearby. Following the signal, they entered a large building, its walls covered in vines and moss. Inside, they found a room that looked untouched for centuries. In the center of the room sat a pedestal, upon which sat a small, intricately designed object. John stepped forward and picked up the object. It glowed with a soft light, as if it were alive. And then, suddenly, a holographic image appeared before them. It was a message, left behind by the ancient civilization that had once inhabited this planet. The message explained that the artifact was a device that could create a wormhole, a portal to another world. The advanced technology was far beyond anything they had ever seen before. But there was a catch. The message continued, warning that the device must never fall into the wrong hands. If it were to be misused, it could destroy worlds. The team stood in stunned silence, realizing the gravity of their discovery. They had not only found the artifact they were searching for, but they had uncovered a piece of history that could change everything they thought they knew about their world. Suddenly, a noise interrupted their thoughts. It was coming from outside the building. Something was approaching. They readied their weapons and stepped outside, only to be faced with a group of heavily armed mercenaries. The mercenaries had been sent by an unknown organization to retrieve the artifact, and they wouldn't let anyone stand in their way. The battle was fierce, with both sides taking heavy casualties. But the team refused to give up the artifact. They fought with everything they had, their determination fueled by the knowledge of what the device was capable of. In the end, the team emerged victorious. The mercenaries retreated, but not before warning the team that they would be back, and they would stop at nothing to get their hands on the artifact. The team knew they couldn't stay in the ruins forever. They had to bring the device back to their home planet, but they also knew that they couldn't let the wrong people find out about its power. They had to keep it safe, at all costs. With the artifact in their possession and the mercenaries hot on their trail, the team set out on a dangerous journey back home. They knew that their mission was far from over and that the dangers they would face would only grow more intense. But they also knew that they were the only ones who could save their world from destruction. Chapter 3. The experiment. The team had returned to their home planet with the artifact, and it was now in the hands of their top scientists. The device was unlike anything they had ever seen before, and they knew they had to be careful with its power. After weeks of research and experiments, they finally discovered how to activate the device. With the push of a button, a wormhole appeared in the center of the lab. The team could hardly contain their excitement. This was their chance to explore the universe, to discover new worlds and civilizations. But they also knew that they had to be careful. They had to make sure that they were the only ones who knew about the device's power. The team stepped through the wormhole, into a new world. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The sky was a vibrant shade of purple, with 3 suns shining down upon them. The vegetation was lush and dense, and they could hear the sound of strange creatures in the distance. They wandered through this new world, taking in all of its wonders. They encountered new life forms, both peaceful and hostile, and they quickly learned how to survive in this strange new environment. But then, something went wrong. The team realized that they had lost track of time. What had felt like hours had actually been days, and they had no way of getting back home. They tried to activate the device again, but it wouldn't work. They were stuck in this new world, with no way of contacting their home planet. Panic set in, and they began to fear that they would never see their families again. As they wandered through this new world, searching for a way back home, they noticed something strange. Some of their party was missing. They searched everywhere but could not find them. It wasn't until they stumbled upon a hidden cave that they discovered the truth. Their missing party members had been captured by a group of aliens, who were conducting experiments on them. The team knew they had to act fast. They couldn't let their friends be used as test subjects. They armed themselves and stormed the alien base. There was a fierce battle, but they managed to rescue their friends and escape. They returned to their home planet, battered and bruised but alive. They had survived their adventure, and they had brought back important information about the universe. But they had also learned an important lesson. The device was powerful, but it was also dangerous. The team knew that they couldn't let its power fall into the wrong hands. They had to keep their discovery a secret, for the good of their world and the universe as a whole. Chapter 4. The chase. The team knew that they had to keep the artifact a secret, but they also knew that they were being hunted. The mercenaries that they had fought on the ancient planet were relentless, and they wouldn't stop until they had the device in their possession. The team went into hiding, desperate to keep the artifact safe. But they knew they couldn't hide forever. Eventually, they would be found, and the consequences would be dire. One day, while out on a supply run, the team discovered that they were being followed. A group of mercenaries had tracked them down, and they were now in a high-speed chase through the busy streets of the city. The team was being pursued by heavily armed vehicles, their weapons firing at anything in their path. The team had to drive through busy intersections, narrowly avoiding other vehicles and pedestrians. The chase led them into the outskirts of the city, where they finally managed to lose their pursuers. But they knew they couldn't let their guard down. The mercenaries were still out there, searching for them. The team decided that they needed to take a more proactive approach. They would go on the offensive and take the fight to the mercenaries. They had to stop them before it was too late. They tracked down the location of the mercenaries' base, and with their weapons at the ready, they stormed the compound. The battle was intense, with both sides taking heavy casualties. But eventually, the team emerged victorious. They had taken out the mercenaries' base, and they had recovered important information about who had hired them to retrieve the artifact. The team was relieved. They knew that this wouldn't be the end of the fight, but they had bought themselves some time. Time to prepare, time to regroup, and time to come up with a plan to keep the artifact safe. As they drove back to their hideout, the team couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They knew that they had made a powerful enemy. And they knew that this enemy wouldn't give up until they had the artifact in their possession. But the team also knew that they had to keep going. They had come too far to give up now. They had to keep pushing forward, no matter the cost. Because this was their last hope. The last hope for their world, and for the universe as a whole. They couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands. Chapter 5. The betrayal. The team had recovered from the intense battle with the mercenaries and had fortified their position. They were vigilant, always on the lookout for any signs of danger. But they knew that they couldn't let their guard down. The enemy was out there, and they were getting closer every day. One day, a trusted member of the team, Samantha, came to them with a disturbing revelation. She had overheard a conversation between two high-ranking officials in the government. They were planning to take the artifact from the team and use it for their own purposes. The team was shocked. They had always thought that their government was on their side. But now, it seemed as though they couldn't trust anyone. They quickly decided that they had to act fast. They couldn't let the artifact fall into the wrong hands. They had to get it out of their hideout before the government officials arrived. They loaded the artifact onto a transport vehicle and drove off into the night. But they soon realized that they were being followed. A convoy of heavily armed vehicles was in hot pursuit. The team tried everything to lose their pursuers. They took back roads, drove through forests, and even crossed a river. But the convoy was relentless. Finally, they reached a narrow bridge. It was the only way across. The team knew that if they could hold the bridge, they could stop the convoy in its tracks. They positioned their vehicles and readied their weapons. The convoy approached, and the battle began. It was fierce, with both sides taking heavy casualties. But in the end, the team emerged victorious. They knew that they couldn't stay on the move forever. They had to find a more permanent solution. They decided to take the artifact to an underground bunker, where it would be safe from prying eyes. But then, the team received another shock. Samantha, the team member who had warned them about the government officials, had betrayed them. She had been working with the officials all along, and she had given them the location of the bunker. The team was stunned. They had trusted Samantha with their lives, and she had betrayed them. But they knew that they couldn't let her or the government officials get their hands on the artifact. They launched a full-scale assault on the bunker, fighting their way through hordes of soldiers. It was the most intense battle they had ever faced. In the end, they emerged victorious. The artifact was safe once again, and they had taken down one of their most dangerous enemies. But they knew that there would always be more enemies out there, waiting to take the artifact for themselves. The team knew that they couldn't rest. They had to keep fighting, keep moving forward, and keep protecting the artifact. Because it was the last hope for their world, and for the universe as a whole. Chapter 6. The final battle. The team had faced many challenges, and they had overcome them all. But they knew that their fight wasn't over yet. The mercenaries and the government officials might have been defeated, but there were still more enemies out there, waiting to take the artifact for themselves. And then, it happened. They received a distress call from a planet on the other side of the galaxy. A massive alien invasion had taken place, and they were losing the war. The team knew that they had to act fast. They couldn't let this be the end. They couldn't let the universe fall into chaos. They gathered their forces and set out to help the planet. It was a long and dangerous journey, but they finally arrived on the planet's surface. The team saw the destruction that had been wrought by the invading forces. They knew that they were going to have to give their all to win this battle. They split up and went to work. The team members fought with every ounce of strength they had, using the artifact to repel the aliens' weapons and drive them back. They fought tirelessly, taking down wave after wave of the enemy forces. But the aliens were relentless, and they kept coming, no matter how many of them the team took down. The team knew that they had to use the artifact's full power if they were going to win this battle. They gathered the artifact's power, and the team leader, John, activated it. A massive shockwave erupted from the artifact, engulfing the entire battlefield. The aliens fell back, stunned and disoriented. The team took advantage of the aliens' confusion, quickly pushing forward and attacking their weakened flank. The battle was fierce, but the team had the upper hand. With their weapons and the artifact, they were able to take out wave after wave of the aliens' forces. Finally, the last of the enemy forces fell, and the team emerged victorious. They had saved the planet, and by extension, the universe. The team was exhausted, and their losses had been great. But they knew that they had done what they had to do. They had saved countless lives and ensured the safekeeping of the universe. As they made their way back home, the team members couldn't help but reflect on their journey. They had faced challenges they never thought possible, and they had emerged stronger for it. They knew that there would always be dangers out there, but they were ready to face them, no matter what. The artifact was safe, and the team had done their part to protect it. They knew that it was the last hope for their world, and for the entire universe. And they vowed that they would always be ready to fight for it, no matter the cost. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. The team had fought long and hard to protect the artifact. They had faced dangers they never thought possible, and they had emerged victorious. But the journey had taken a toll on them, and they knew that they couldn't just go back to their normal lives. They had to deal with the aftermath of their actions. The team had lost many members along the way, but they couldn't just forget about them. They held a memorial service to honor the fallen, remembering the sacrifices that they had made. They knew that they wouldn't have been able to get this far without their help. But even as they mourned their losses, they knew that they had to move forward. They had to find a way to rebuild and move on. They knew that there would always be new dangers and new battles to fight. They couldn't let their guard down. The team made a pledge to keep the artifact safe, no matter the cost. They knew that it was the last hope for their world and for the universe. They would do whatever it took to protect it, even if it meant making sacrifices along the way. They also knew that they couldn't keep the artifact hidden forever. They had to find a way to share it with the world. They knew that it had the power to change things, to make the universe a safer place. But they also knew that it could be dangerous in the wrong hands. They decided to create a new organization, one that would help protect the artifact and ensure that it was used for good. They would work with the government, but they would also be independent, able to make their own decisions and take their own actions. The team worked tirelessly to build the organization, recruiting members and setting up operations around the world. They knew that they couldn't do this alone. They needed a network of people who were dedicated to their cause. As they worked, they also had to deal with the fallout from their past actions. The mercenaries and the government officials were no longer threats, but they had left behind a trail of destruction. The team did what they could to minimize the damage, helping those who had been hurt and rebuilding what had been destroyed. It wasn't an easy path, but the team knew that it was the right one. They knew that they had to keep moving forward, no matter what. They had made sacrifices along the way, but they knew that it was worth it. Finally, after months of hard work and dedication, the organization was ready. They held a ceremony to mark its creation, bringing together members from around the world. The team knew that they had accomplished something important, something that would have a lasting impact on the world and the universe. As they stood before the gathered crowd, the team knew that they had done what they could to protect the artifact. They didn't know what the future would hold or what other dangers they might face, but they felt confident that they were on the right path. They knew that they had done their part to ensure a better future for all.